We're once again joined by Fox 17's Michael Martin live in the studio with more on some changes to Michigan's insurance laws.
Yeah, speaking to car crash survivors about what they're doing in an effort to fix medical fee reimbursement changes that are coming with the next portion of Michigan's no-fault auto reform. Michael?
Yeah, Derek, Doug, as we mentioned, families of people living with catastrophic auto injuries can't just sit back and let these changes happen without a fight. A group has been traveling to Lansing to educate lawmakers, while a West Michigan attorney is filing a lawsuit questioning the constitutionality of these changes.
I think that there really is an understanding now that folks won't be able to get the care that they've been counting on.
The past several weeks have been a whirlwind of worry, confusion, and taking action for the thousands of families across Michigan who face the very real possibility of losing access to quality care come July when the next portion of the Auto No-Fault Reform Act takes effect.
People don't know what they're going to do. They're terrified. They go to bed with this in the pit of their stomach and they wake up with it there. They're scared to death.
For Maureen Howell, her husband, former state rep Jim Howell, and their son Sam, waiting to see what happens when it does is not an option.
We have people attend the Senate in the morning and the House chamber here in the afternoon because many of our legislature really are not well versed in what's going to happen.
She and a small rotating group of other survivors have traveled out to the state capitol a handful of times since May 4th. Her son Sam.
Out of no fault, I may have lived, but most likely not. And I certainly wouldn't have gotten back my life.
They're trying to convince lawmakers to act on two bills sitting in the state legislature that would prevent families like hers from losing access to critical medical care. House Bill 4486 and Senate Bill 314.
The bad actors continue to make a lot of money. The good actors are unable to survive.
State Rep Donna Lazinski held a virtual press conference last week with several other Democratic lawmakers about the bills and even came out to meet with Maureen and Sam on Tuesday of last week as they gathered outside the House chambers inside the Capitol.
This is not a Democratic or a Republican issue. This is a people issue, and there are Republicans that are working together with us as Democrats. What we need to do is get the will to get it through committee on the floor and to the governor's desk.
Sam asking the state rep to say a prayer with him.
I was giving her the power she needs to push.
This all begs the question, why not act now if the legislative support is there? Well, the bills rest in the hands of several state lawmakers like Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey, who are adamant about waiting until after the bill takes effect. But for people like State Rep Doug Wozniak, who supported the reform bill himself, waiting just doesn't make sense.
There's reports all over the state of Michigan that companies are going to leave the state.
Wozniak introduced House Bill 4486 after realizing the potential disaster buried in the reform.
That's not a good thing. We've nurtured that industry for so long, and we're the best in the country.
What that could eventually mean for taxpayers is
if they're forced off of the PIP system, then where are they going to go? Medicaid, Medicare? And who pays for Medicaid or Medicare? You and I do.
And what about the original goal here of lowering insurance rates in Michigan?
The good news is, though, Michigan rates dropped a little bit, about 18% year over year from 2019 to 2020.
But as Nicole Buck from insurance comparison site The Zebra said, they attribute much of that drop in costs to the pandemic.
We do expect that car insurance prices will be lowered with the new legislative changes in Michigan, simply because it couldn't have got much higher than it was.
Aaron McDonough, the executive director of Michigan's Insurance Alliance, said in a statement to Fox 17 on May 26, the reforms are lowering rates for drivers across the state, bringing more competition into Michigan and encouraging tens of thousands of people to get car insurance again because they can finally afford it, all while ensuring drivers with unlimited lifetime medical benefits can still receive care. Fox 17 was supposed to speak with McDonough for this story. The Alliance telling us they were, quote, pulling together some data that should help clarify things, and then 6 days later saying they didn't have time to talk and hadn't yet been able to pull together these numbers. And so their position will, for now, remain somewhat unclear. McDonough's May 26 statement continues, sadly, special interests are resorting to scare tactics and using misinformation in an attempt to protect their golden goose and preserve their ability to overcharge and price gouge Michigan consumers. But advocates say the changes coming will devastate the companies not overcharging, while allowing those who were overbilling to stay afloat.
You know who's going to come out that is not going to have to shut their business? Those people who were really overbilling because they can take that 45% cut.
Will it mean that people like David St. Amant will no longer be able to work the jobs they have found and fought for?
David's prognosis after 2 weeks was, we really think you might want to just consider custodial care.
David and his mom, Linda, work at Jackson Field in Lansing, where the minor league Lansing Lugnuts baseball team plays.
For him to be doing this is just a miracle, and it's only because he's had access to good quality care.
All of these families paid into a system that promised them lifetime care. A lawsuit filed on behalf of several patients in a care facility questions the constitutionality of making such a change to the agreement.
We say it's an unconstitutional violation of the Contracts Clause in the Michigan Constitution to attempt to retroactively apply these reductions to people who bought their insurance policies years ago and who got injured years ago.
Attorney George Sinus says the lawsuit attacks both the slashed care reimbursement rates and the cut to how many hours family members can be paid as designated caregivers.
How can we, as a reasonable society, put people in a position where, under the no-fault law, they're forced to go buy these no-fault policies? They pay a premium. The policy at the time it's sold provides for certain particular benefits. Then government comes in and he reaches into that contract and he basically rewrites it.
The lawsuit has been filed in Ingham County Court, but will take time to make its way through the system. Though Sinus says they will take it all the way up to the state Supreme Court if they have to.
The key thing to good governance and good character is to stand up and say, you know what, we made a mistake there. We need to go in and fix it.
And as we've mentioned over and over, that fix is already sitting in our state legislature. Senate Bill 314.
The majority leader could either take it out of that committee, or the insurance chairwoman, Lana Tice, could allow for a vote.
And House Bill 4486.
If we could put it up to a vote, I think we'd win. In the House and the Senate.
To people still terrified of what July will bring to their loved ones who need round-the-clock medical care, what should happen next is obvious.
We've tried to remain focused on this one technical fix, which